Hello and welcome to the studio. My name's Dave and of course I'm joined by Reverend Bernard.
Hello, good afternoon, welcome to the studio.
Fantastic to see you all today. As you can kind of guess, Colin isn't here with us. He's watching at home. He's just said hello Colin. And we thought we've got some great things lined up for you today. We thought we'd start off with telling you some of the good things that have happened in the local area. So Bernard, did you want to start us off? What good things have been going on?
First we start with our project, and we are happy to let you know that our project at 213 is growing from the meetings with the older people who will come to enjoy the garden, to work together and just to share. We already now has the next step, the second step, when we thinking about the teenagers and the youth. Our project manager, Don, just met Sana, who is a youth development worker.
Oh, fantastic.
And she is happy to join us, to volunteer with us and to work with us in that project.
Well, that's brilliant news. I'm really glad to see that's really taking off.
And I suppose that, I hope the teenager will enjoy the time there, because there is a perfect place to play and to share and, just spend a good time.
Exactly, that's fantastic. And of course, Droplets has started this week. So as Colin said last week, Droplets, which is our brand new children and toddlers group, that started, hasn't it? I think it's been a great success. I think that's 16
children
turn up. Yeah. So that's fantastic. And of course, if you've got a little one, I think it's from babies to infants, really kind of preschool. It's on at Tuesdays, I believe. I'm going to hold off this if I don't get this right. I believe it is 9:30 start, but I'm probably going to get a message from Hannah in a minute if that's wrong. But yeah, come and join it. It's absolutely amazing. They're having so much fun doing it, and it's a great place to meet other parents as well. Speaking of also messaging in, of course, if you do want to message in, you can send us a message on Facebook. Just a little post on the Facebook or YouTube channels. We'll be keeping an eye out during today's show. Or in general, I've got buttons here to press as well. You can also contact us using all these lovely details below. You can email studio@livestreams.org.uk, or our social media is @livestreamsuk. And there's the other details as well.
And we are happy to remind you that here at St. Seed, where we are broadcasting now, the groups are back already. The teenagers, the youth, and they work Thursday and other days, as you know. If you want to come to join us and to come with your youths and teenagers, contact us as well.
Exactly, fantastic news. Obviously, the more clubs and things like that. So the youth club's back. We're starting to get more projects back here. This place is getting really, really busy again. So if you again, I can press a button and pop the details up. Take a look at the website below. You'll find out all the kind of great things that are going on at St. Sed's just there. So that's some really great news.
Well, just simple, write a comment.
Oh yeah, of course. Channel. Yeah, write a comment on the channel as well. Don't forget. Yeah, give me something to do in the next few minutes. Now. We've got an interview coming up now. Earlier this week, I got in contact with a lovely lady, because as you know, we've been kind of talking about kind of different vulnerable groups in the local area that kind of struggled during lockdown. So we covered youths, we've covered obviously little kids, and with me chatting last week. And this week, we thought we'd have a chat with someone kind of the complete other end of the spectrum, and chat with an elderly people's worker. I think that's her title. We'll find it. She says it in the interview in a minute. But someone who worked with the elderly people in the local community and found out exactly how they've been dealing with lockdown. So, without further ado, we shall have our interview. So hi there, I'm Dave, and we are here at Livestream's Coffee House at St. Peter's. We've snuck away to one of the kind of quieter areas, and I thought we'd have a chat in that, because I am joined by Julie Peake. She is from Highland Methodist Church in Lee. She is the older people's worker there, and we thought we'd have a bit of a chat about that. So hello.
Hello, Dave.
So just to let you know, over the last few weeks, we've been covering different kind of vulnerable groups. So we've had youth work, we've had children, and now kind of gone with the opposite end of the scale with you.
Yes.
So do you want to tell everybody, what is it that you do?
I'm the older people's worker for Highlands Methodist Church in Lee, and pre-COVID My role was to network with the older people in the local community, create events, either regular events or one-off events, and really just bring a sense of community, not just for a Sunday, but every day of the week. So we've got a knit and natter group. So predominantly it's the ladies that come to knit and natter, and sometimes it's difficult to get to the group. So sometimes my role would have been taxi driver, just to get that lady into the group and socialise. We've got a hobbies group, so craft activities. All of these things sadly came to a stop with COVID. So my role was turned on its head. All of the community engagement, where you got a large group of people together, just stopped. So.
I was going to say, obviously, one of the big things that's happened over the last 18 months now is COVID.
Yes.
And so, how did that affect your work that you do?
I think we all know it has been isolating, and loneliness is a key issue. So for those living on their own, it's magnified, because somebody may not, where in the past they would have come out and joined those local groups, they were told they needed to stay indoors, they needed to self-isolate, protect the NHS. But then you're completely on your own, and what I saw was a lot of loneliness.
Such a shame.
Yeah.
So I know last week we were talking about children in particular. I was chatting with Colin about that, and we discussed, obviously, at my child's school, for example, we had online learning and things like that. Obviously, I'm guessing online became such a big kind of thing for everybody at the time.
Yeah.
But again, there's that whole kind of typical, stereotype almost, that old people can't use computers and things like that. How true was that? Did people always kind of struggle with this whole change of technology?
Oh, I'll take an example about an exercise class that used to take place in our church. Staying steady exercise classes. For older people, sit-down exercise classes, which I encouraged the organisation to come in and run. So out of that 100% of that group, I would say 5% went on to do the online exercise class that was maintained by the local authority. So that other 95% were not allowed to go outside, they weren't doing their exercises, although the gentleman that leads those exercises was phoning them up and saying, Jill, Betty, John, doing your exercises, that they might say yes, but if nobody sees you lifting your leg up, you can get away with not doing it. But coming from the other side, the 5% that mastered Zoom or Microsoft Teams, they created a wonderful network community where they are now doing their own Zoomed exercise classes.
Oh, fantastic!
But that's only 5%, Dave.
Yeah. I say, how could we then encourage more people to be able to get onto these kind of services then, and the things that you're providing?
As far as you're talking about online, that is really, really tricky, because the majority of people don't have broadband, don't have the equipment to actually get online. We have, 5 years ago, we came up with the possibility of creating a service for people living with dementia. And when COVID struck, we then went to YouTube to create this small service replicating that group that we had prior to lockdown. It is accessed by carers, and it's accessed by care homes that can play that in a care home setting. So where the churches have not been able to get into the care homes and lead prayers. This service could be streamed into care homes.
Fantastic.
And carers, if you're living with somebody in that situation and you've got technology in your household, that works. But again, there is still a large sector of the older people in the community that just can't do it.
No, it's such a shame because, as you said, the whole world seems to be moving that way, and it's really we don't want to leave people out of it.
No.
As we're coming out of lockdown, do you see kind of all these kind of things changing for you? How do you see your job progressing now? We're kind of starting to get back to normal.
I find it a daunting prospect because there is still, amongst the older people in the community, there is an awful lot of nervousness about coming back to community and the health and safety of coming back to community. I don't see things returning instantly.
No.
For example, I had planned our first service for people living with dementia on Monday. And of course the government rules changed. So we had to write to everybody and say, as you understand, we can't do this. And it's been rearranged for the 19th of July. The one thing that really, really I find upsetting is we're not allowed to sing. We're not allowed to sing. And a wonderful way of reconnecting with your memories is through singing. So I just can't wait to be able to get back to our groups. And I've spoken to a local singer and she's going to come and sing for us on the 19th of July. And that feeling of we'll meet again, I can just feel it's going to be joyful.
I think that's going to be an amazing time when everyone can start singing and start socialising again.
Yeah.
And I say it's such a great thing. Now, picking up on what you said about the whole aspect of dementia, we all know how terrible that can be for people, how much people can struggle within just the day-to-day.
Yeah.
So having something like COVID and the big upheaval that's caused, how did you find that people with dementia coped over the whole lockdown?
It was a real struggle, not just for those living with dementia, but their carers supporting them in the home. So you've got two different issues. You've got those in care homes who loved ones couldn't actually physically see. And then you had those in the community that you weren't able to advocate for them.
Yeah.
So you'd got a carer, a husband or a wife that was supporting their loved one and were not able to get any help. So that supermarket shop, I have a vivid memory of a wonderful lady whose husband had dementia and she couldn't leave the house to do her shopping, and she couldn't leave him unattended, and she wasn't allowed to have anybody come into her home. And bless him, he was happy in his own world, but he decided one day that he wanted to just sit down on the floor. And he was a big man, and she said, I just didn't know what to do. She phoned her neighbour, and her neighbour had to literally just break those COVID rules, come in, have a chat, physically lift the gentleman up, pop him back on the chair. He was okay, but she was in pieces because it was just so difficult.
It is such a difficult time for people. And going forwards, though, obviously we get a lot of different people watching our shows. If you could give kind of one piece of advice on how we can improve, how we as people the general public can improve the situation for older people at the moment, what would it be?
Oh, that's a tricky one.
It's a bit of a tricky one. I kind of thrown you that. I should have warned you about that one earlier. How could we help the older people in the community at the moment?
Talk to people. If you see somebody that's looking confused in the street, ask them how they are, just engage them in conversation. You don't know if that person has not spoken to anybody for a week. You don't know that that person, it could have been the first time they've ventured out of their front door. We are all feeling lost and confused, and if you come across a person in the street looking lost and confused, just chat.
I really think you're absolutely right. I really think that you're saying it's these little things that help,
Yes,
really.
yes.
And I know I've got a few neighbours who I see on the street that I always make a point of chatting to and just saying hello to.
Yes.
Because that might be the only time that they get to chat to someone.
Yeah.
And I think you're right, these little things can help. It doesn't have to be a big, go out and buy them entire meat, shopping for them.
No, it isn't.
But just,
Coming to you this morning, a gentleman passed me and just stopped and said, "Oh, typical June. We've just had a week of wind and rain, and today's the first day the sun's shining." And just to say yes,
yeah.
and we agreed, and he went on his way. And I just think that is so important. We're all caught up in our lives, and just to stop and smell the roses.
Exactly.
And,
And at the coffee house here, I was here a few days ago, and I saw a lady just peering in. She just walked by. She was obviously kind of wondering what on earth was going on.
Yes.
I popped outside to see if she was okay, and
Yeah.
I had a full-on lovely conversation with the lady.
Yeah.
And that's about 10-15 minutes about her life. And sometimes people, they just need that little spark of just a little chat.
Yeah.
And suddenly you realise actually they get that kind of social interaction.
Yeah.
I
We
think.
had exactly the same at our church, because I'd created 2 years ago. I'd created a poster, and we were going to have a memory lane tea dance, and I'd stuck the poster outside the front of the church, and unbeknownst to me, a lady had walked by, and she'd stood and she'd looked at this poster, and she had not long lost her husband, and she in her head, she told me this afterwards, she thought, I am going to pluck the courage to just go in.
Oh,
And
fantastic.
I liked the sound of that, and I didn't know this. And there was another lady, much the same as your coffee shop, and she could see the lady standing looking at the poster, so she went out and she said, "Are you okay?" And as a result, she came in for coffee, and she came to that event. And she's been coming, not recently because of COVID, but she's been coming to our hobbies group, and she cites that as the most important thing, that she was walking past, she saw that poster, she fancied an old tea dance, so she came in. And I think, you have to seize the moment. If you see somebody looking confused, just engage them in conversation.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with
Thank
you,
you for
Julie.
inviting me, Dave.
Oh, fantastic. So we were listening to that interview again. It's quite nice to hear.
It is, yeah. It was a good interview, and you have a lot of information about that. And it's just simple. Take it like a possibility, an opportunity for us to work together and to meet.
I really think that my big take-home thing from even just chatting with her was to do those little things like just popping and saying hello to someone on the street and being that extra kind of social connection. We've been receiving messages, and we're using my phone, and you can see the live stream actually is on there. So just to let you know, I can confirm, thanks Colin, that it is 9:30. Colin, you shouldn't be working because it's a little bit of a telling off for you. Also, as Liz says, the coffee house as well. We were at the coffee house. You could definitely hear it in the background there, all the laughing and the chatting going on. The coffee house is a great place for people to come and meet and socialise. And again, I really recommend that people, pop down there. And if you're out there feeling a little bit isolated, come on. There's always a friendly face there to chat. And there's got a few other comments. That's fantastic. As I said before, again, if you want to get in contact with us, I'll put the details there. Now, normally at this time, we normally do what we call the big question, where we can have a pre-prepared question that I say the presenters normally don't know about, and I normally have to give. Obviously, I'm here today, it's not doing that. But something slightly different. We'll do something slightly different. We're kind of winging it on this one. So earlier today, while we were setting up for the studio, I said Bernard started getting a couple of phone calls or two, and it was those automated messages that we've all had them. But again, during that little interview segment, while we were all watching it, I think Bernard's phone went off about 2 or 3 times with just ringing to the exact same scam phone callers. And I thought it was perfect, because obviously, as we're talking about the elderly and the vulnerable, this is one of the big things that is going around at the moment that preys on the elderly and the vulnerable. And we kind of just wanted to highlight that to you a little bit. If you've not kind of seen what these people do, or if you've been lucky enough not to have these kind of scams call you, they can be quite mischievous, can't they?
Yeah, and especially now after the COVID, but in the pandemic time, the number of scams, it's growing. It's skyrocketing. Really, the police say. Maybe you already read from the papers or heard in the media. Be aware, because they use now a very sophisticated scheme, and you can receive a call about your insurance number or your pension.
Yeah,
or maybe even somebody can receive a call like a member of your family had an accident and need money. Can you send some money in order to save him or so on? Check always, if you are doubt or something else, call the police. But about your insurance numbers or about pensions, do not give any details to them. Never.
I think, myself and you clearly know that obviously when we get a phone call from someone going, your national insurance number has been used in a scam, you need to pay us this fee, or you need to give us all your details. We're smart enough not to do that, because we're not smart, that's the wrong way of putting it, but we're experienced enough to know that these are scams. I've noticed that quite a lot of my elderly relatives and friends and that, they aren't as sure about it. I'm kind of seeing, obviously, I do all the tech here, and I'm quite obviously seen as a bit of a tech kind of guru for a lot of people, and I'll often get kind of phone calls quite often from people going, can you fix this, can you fix that? But every so often I still get one from going, I've just had Amazon on the phone to me saying that my account's been suspended, or I've had someone saying that my national insurance number's been used for fraud, and that what do I do? And some people, they follow it through, and that right up until the point either where they're about to give money, or they give away all their passwords and all the details to their bank accounts, and it's quite a real thing as well.
Yeah,
it's
you
quite
just
scary.
said about Amazon, and when we think Amazon, we think delivery. Yeah. I received a lot of message from who knows who, that I have a parcel somewhere, because that parcel staying on the border with the new rules of after the Brexit. They said you have to send some money to this account in order to get that parcel.
And they can look really, really legitimate as well. And that's the really thing that kind of scares me. Is that I get emails sometimes, and I'll look through my emails and go, actually, is this the real company sending it me or not? I had one a couple of days ago from, I think it was EE, and I guess it's just a complete fluke that they've got it to the right email address with it. But I actually made me look and go, this could actually be real. And I really think, okay, one thing to highlight, I said, we know that it's not real, that these things aren't real. I said, but a lot of our kind of elderly and vulnerable relatives really don't.
Yeah.
And I think we need to also make a point of helping those out that might not know all these kind of things. So, for example, if we know that, make sure that your relatives know that if they get a random email from Amazon saying you owe this much, to ignore it. All those lovely automated messages that you get, and that the automated message that you had a minute ago. We say, I was hoping I could almost keep them on the line until we got back online, unfortunately, not on air, but to kind of show you what they do. But as I say, these call centres can be quite persuasive. So yeah, we just kind of wanted to highlight that, and say, please make sure that obviously your relatives and friends and any kind of people around you are well aware of these scams that are going around at the moment.
Yeah,
but actually, I've just seen the message. Liz's message literally just had a scam call from EE. We're with the EE too. So, and the thing is, I obviously, as you heard me last week, I'm a magician. I know I'll do a lot of kind of psychology kind of things as part of my shows. One of the really cool things that I found is what's called the Barnum effect. We say there's something for everyone. Essentially, if you throw out enough stuff, eventually things will hit. And that's what these scammers do. So they may send an email to 1 million people saying that I'm from Amazon or I'm from EE, and the odds are, obviously they're not EE, but the odds are they'll hit enough people with an EE account where they can go, actually, it makes you guys think. And if you get one person giving them £500 or access to their bank accounts, that's it. It's quite dangerous, really.
And if you are in debt or you just simply are worried about that with your bank account or your card, if you have some debt, do not call back then.
Yeah.
Just simple check at your bank branch in your area, in this area, or normally the bank will contact you through an email if you have a problem.
I say, the best thing that I can ever suggest to people, again, come from experience myself, the best kind of guidance I can give you really for it is, if you get something that sounds suspicious or too good to be true, it probably is. If as well, if someone says that they're from a sort of police agency or something like that and they call you up out of the blue, feel free to call them back, but don't call them back on the number they give you. Research the number for your local police station and give them a call on that. Normally, if you say you're going to do that and they hang up straight away, it's pretty much guaranteed that it's a scam. And the same with that Amazon or Scottish Power or any of the other companies. And whatever you do, especially with emails, don't click on links of suspicious emails. They can send you to a place that looks identical to it. Whatever you do, don't do that. And again, it's just common sense really with it as well.
Yeah, because they could charge you. They can charge you if you call back some kind of a number. They got a system. They can charge you for your phone. Or I don't know what kind of.
It's really clever stuff. And what we'll do is, just from talking to you, it kind of shows how important it is that these things to be looked at. I think what we'll do is, I think over this next week, we'll try and find some fact sheets and some links about kind of safe internet usage and obviously how to deal with these kind of things and post them on our social media, because it's quite a big thing.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that's it. I think we're running out of time now. It is, yes, we are indeed. We've got about a minute left. So thank you very much for joining us, everybody.
Yeah. And before leave, I have to remind you about tomorrow afternoon.
Yes.
At 2 and 3 in Manor Way, in our garden at St. Stephen. We have a worshipping time, but most important, we will have a time being together to share and just simple to be happy there in the garden. Afternoon, 6 o'clock.
It should be absolutely fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us. As I said, my name's Dave, this is Bernard, and hopefully next week Colin will be back and to do another one of our wonderful studio sessions. Exactly. But until then, we shall see you all very soon.
See you
later. Bye-bye.